With Demon Souls out of the way, with only a few hiccups, we arrive once more in Lordran. I'm really curious to see how Dagger has handled this game's bosses. Demon Souls wasn't too bad with Enchant Weapon, except the grinding to get a +5 sharp weapon. I know this game has Magic Weapon and some upgraded variants, but I'm not sure if that'll be enough to close the damage threshold, particularly for the DPS check that is the Four Kings. Let's get into it. Make my character, name her Knives, still spelled like nonsense. I choose Thief, because then I get to start with the Master Key, very useful, and the Bandit Knife, the best weapon we will use. It's fast, deals bad damage, but has a bleed effect for when that is relevant. With my bonus gift I choose Divine Blessings. There's about an even odds I'll use them or completely forget them because consumables aren't real. Run through the Asylum with no issue, and it's into the first boss. Asylum Demon is pretty easy, and the bleed effect of my dagger means my damage is actually not too bad. Not really expecting it to keep up, but I might as well try. Asylum dead, we take the Crow Express all the way to Firelink Shrine. Up into the Undead Burg. This area is never really a hassle, and there isn't really anything I want here, other than the lower Undead Burg key from this merchant. I'll be using that to open a door later to access our magic teacher for this run. Master Key means I can open this door and grab 3 gold pine resins. These add a significant amount of lightning damage, particularly with how fast daggers hit. And then I waste them all on the Taurus Demon because I'm playing bad. I really have no excuse for this. This boss is not hard, my damage is great, and I'm just fighting badly. This is legitimately kind of embarrassing, especially with how many times I've beaten this boss in prior playthroughs. But defeating the Taurus Demon unlocks the lower Undead Burg. I can rescue Griggs, who will sell me a Sorcerer Catalyst and the Magic Weapon spell. I don't want to grind out the 3,500 souls I need to buy both yet, so I instead waste a bunch of time dying to the Twin Gargoyles. Then I waste a bunch of time dying to the Capra Demon. Seriously, my stubbornness in not grinding up souls in these games always ends up wasting way more time than just grinding up the souls. These fights aren't even too bad, I'm just getting overwhelmed by multiple enemies because my damage isn't good and I have no range to hit multiple enemies. Or sometimes even one enemy. Realize the solution really is just more damage, so do some killing of random hollows to get the souls I need to get the catalyst and the spell. Hark! A vagrant! Back into the Capra Demon arena, and magic weapon means I can one-shot the dogs. That done, the fight becomes pretty easy. This fight is really only difficult because you have to manage the dogs in this teeny tiny boss arena. Capra down. And back up to the Twin Gargoyles, where it takes like 10 more tries. Magic Weapon helps my damage, but it's still pretty low, and no spell in the world will fix the terrible reach that daggers have in this game. Finally, I managed to keep enough spacing to dance around the fire breaths and bring down one gargoyle. And once one goes down, the second is fine. They aren't really a threat individually. Both gargoyles down, I ring the first of my 2 bells of awakening. And now it's time to dive into the sewers, everybody's favorite area. I never remember my way around this place, but I realize that's just because there are a lot of side paths that do not matter. Take out the sorcerer and his rat entourage, and it's time to face the gaping dragon. Wow, for all the spectacle this fight has, it's also really boring. His attacks are slow and easy to dodge, and I'm never in any real danger. This fight just takes so long because he has so much HP. It takes a while, and I'm bored, but the dragon finally dies. Door to Blighttown opened, and let's dive into the source of all my nightmares. Except honestly, this area isn't too bad. Sorcery sucked because my damage was mediocre and it was difficult to even hit moving enemies. Dagger's great improvement of being able to just attack is a huge boon. It's also really easy to backstab, which deals bonkers damage. Dogs are still super obnoxious, but a little less so since I have an actual weapon. I take a brief detour to try and get power within, and I get ripped apart. We'll come back later if I need it. Quelaag's not bad. Her attacks are slow, and her scorpion fire breathing is more annoying than threatening. I do waste a lot of Estus on my first attempt remembering the fight. Second attempt goes much better, and I use the last of my gold pine resin to up my damage, so the fight goes by a little faster. Both bells have been rung, and the way to Sen's Fortress is opened. Except I dread Sen's Fortress, so I decide to procrastinate. Grind against leeches down in the swamp to get the large Titanite I need to +10 my dagger. I also get 15 green Titanite, which upgrades elemental weapons. Might be useful later. Then up into Darkroot to face the Moonlight Butterfly. It's a pretty easy fight, like always, except the butterfly spends a much longer time flapping about than I remember in prior attempts. +10 dagger plus magic weapon means I can 2-cycle it though, so not bad. Back to the Undead Asylum because I still don't want to do Sen's Fortress. Asylum 2 can actually be fairly difficult. He's chunkier than his 1.0 version, and the explosions on his attacks have some questionable hitboxes. Except it's really easy for daggers because he can bleed, and that deals percentage damage. So his increased health doesn't really mean anything. And I can parry the Black Knights to get out. Seriously, daggers deal so much parry damage. Good thing parrying is so easy in Dark Souls 1. Alright, I've delayed it long enough. It's time to go into Sen's Fortress, an area that I always dread. Except this time I shouldn't have, because this is the easiest this area has ever been. Basically every big snake dude can be parried, and the stronger dagger plus bonus critical damage means I can one-shot everything in here. Seriously, I was not expecting this to be a cakewalk, but none of the enemies are even worth note. I get to the Iron Golem faster than I ever have. And the Iron Golem is fine. It's not a difficult fight, but much like the Gaping Dragon, it is boring. He can be knocked over to fall to his death, but I'm really bad at doing that. So while I do knock him over twice, neither is a fatal fall. I have to kill him the old-fashioned way, with many, many cuts. Then I take the Bat Express to Anor, Londo, everybody's favorite area. Not being able to shoot these white-robed boys is a bit annoying, since I actually have to fight them in the rafters, which does get me killed a couple times. Shoot, I was supposed to grab something off the fallen chandelier and never did I? Whatever. On the run-up, I do finally get the Black Knight Archer cheese to work, which is great. Get the bonfire, and now I can skip the rest of the area. Which helps, considering the amount of time the Orny and Smoo fight are going to take. Every time I fight these boys, I have to relearn the attack patterns and how to keep them spaced out to take advantage of their patterns. It doesn't help that Orny's dash is so freaking glitchy. Smoo is on the chopping block first, because he takes more damage from my enchanted dagger. Him down, I can focus on Super Orny, which takes a few tries. His attacks aren't actually difficult to dodge, but the hitboxes are iffy, and the timings are a bit unusual. But patience and focus sees me through. Orny and Smoo dead, it's time to grab the Lord Vessel and get this game really started. Back to Quelaag's bonfire, and it's ceaseless time. Maybe one of these days I'll actually fight him without using the jump cheese, but that day is not today. Run to the door, wait for him to jump, then slash a couple times so he falls to his death. From there, I run through the recently de-lava'd area, grab a safety bonfire from the wall centipede, and it's time for, why is the Golden Fog Gate still here? Oh shoot, I forgot to actually place the Lord Vessel, hold on. Okay, Golden Fog Gate dispelled, and it's fine. Fire Sage, much like its Asylum Brethren, isn't that hard with daggers. Beefy health pools don't mean anything when my best damage is percentage-based. Centipede Demon is normally a pretty easy fight, except for some reason I couldn't lure him onto land to actually fight him, and he kept using this stupid punch maneuver. Second try, and I realized I need to approach close enough for him to use a different attack to actually get him on solid ground. Then he dies. Then it's time for everybody's favorite area, Lava Butts. Run straight through into the worst boss in the game, Bed of Chaos, which actually only takes 2 attempts, which is my new record. I still can't believe this fight actually exists. Like, it's not a terrible idea in concept, but the execution is absolutely awful. I then do some procrastinating because I don't really want to try doing any of the fights I need to do. So I go fight Sif. It's never a particularly difficult fight, and I'll need the symbol of Artorias to access the Abyss anyway. Fight's easy, and sad. Rest in peace, Puppo. Time for new Londo. I know I can't pass the DPS check that is the Four Kings, but there are items here I want. Specifically, the Dark Wraiths drop Titanite chunks, which I'll need to upgrade both my Bandit Knife and my new Lightning Dagger. The Lightning Dagger doesn't scale off stats, but it does deal lightning damage in addition to physical, which the Four Kings are weak to. Spoiler, the Lightning Dagger is a complete waste of time. My dexterity is high enough, my regular Bandit Knife is just better. I do pop into the Four Kings to see how it goes, and the answer is bad. Gonna need to think on how to up my damage enough to take them down. I do need a boss kill for this section, so I head into Seath's Archives. I remember more of the area this time, so I spend less of that time dying pointlessly. Not no time, mind you, but less. I also do remember how to get past the invisible crystals so I don't die in this area. Cough. And Seath, which takes 2 attempts because I discovered it's really hard to see his attack patterns when you're getting all up in there. Second attempt goes much better, but it's still really, really slow. Wish I hadn't wasted all my gold pine resin being an idiot. I take some time to farm wraiths in the new Londo ruins to max out my Bandit Dagger to plus 15 and my Lightning Dagger to plus 4. The Lightning Dagger is still a waste of time, by the way. Into the Four Kings and using my maxed out Dexterity and maxed out Dagger, and it doesn't meet the DPS requirement. But it comes close. And thanks to my new friend that I took a quick side trip to get, we can do this. Power Within boosts your damage at the cost of burning you alive. Fair trade. The fight gets close, real close, and by the end 3 kings are standing in the arena, but I beat the DC and the 4 kings go down. Hop into the Catacombs, just far enough to remember I never picked up the Sunlight Maggot. Brief detour to pick that up. Then back into the Catacombs, and get to the Skeleton Blacksmith, who I always forget is here. And it's time to face Pinwheel. And there is a part of me that is a bit concerned. This fight is usually a joke. Pinwheel is so fragile, and he dies so fast. But I'm using a dagger, with bad damage. If I can't kill him quickly enough, he might do something? I don't know the boss mechanics. No one does. It's Pinwheel. His only mechanic is to die quickly. But if I can't make that happen, he might... Oh, he's dead. Never mind. Time for the dark part of the Catacombs, which is a barely visible maze. I got so lost in here during the sorcery only run, get just far enough to get to the bonfire, and I'm dreading this. I died so many times just trying to find the exit. Let's just try hugging the east wall to see how that's it? Hug the east wall and drop down a few places, and that's it? How did I get lost in here so long? Into Nito. I do die the first time because I quickly get overwhelmed by his ads, and I don't remember how to dodge his attacks. Second try goes much better though. I bait out the early skeletons and kill them with my Divine Dagger. Oh yeah, I have a Divine Dagger. Killing them with this means they can't respawn. You really have to get in there to hit Nito with a dagger. Fortunately, by luring him to the starting part of the arena, the rest of his skeleton entourage won't even notice a fight is happening. A few minutes later, and Nito goes down. Four Lord Souls obtained, and 4 Lord Souls in the vessel. Time to face the final boss, and Kindler of the First Flame, Gwyn. And it's super easy. Yeah, this fight is not hard. I had trouble in Sorcery only because I had to find openings to cast. That is not the case when you have a dagger. In Dagger only, the answer is parry every attack. Except the grab attack, you do have to dodge that. And then get a critical hit. This is a task daggers are uniquely equipped to handle. I mean, look at that damage. I do mess up the parry more times than I care to admit, but it doesn't even matter. Gwyn is so parryable and my damage is so high, it's only a short time and he goes down. And there we have it. Dark Souls 1 Dagger only. That was fun. Definitely a grab bag of tools to get my dagger up to the damage I needed to deal. And the amount of critical damage, where it mattered, was, chef's kiss. But most of the bosses in this game are big monsters that does not apply to. So keeping pace with damage and health was pretty fun. Stay tuned next week for Dark Souls 2, Daggers Only. You know what was in that chandelier I dropped in Anor Londo? I never did remember to actually check. Its greater magic weapon? Well, that would have helped my damage a bit.